Since May 9th, I've been trying to follow Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer all over Geneva to try to get a handle on what exactly is going on here in these, what really was for quite a few days, secret talks between U.S. officials and their China counterparts.
I'm happy to report that we made substantial progress between the United States and China in these very important trade talks.
The guidance that I first got here was from the Swiss, but that was really counter to what the Chinese and the Americans were doing. It was incredibly secret. What I did was I waited in the lobby of the Intercontinental Hotel where U.S. officials were staying, including Scott Bessent and Jameson Greer. And as soon as they left the property, I got into a taxi and told the taxi to follow the motorcade to wherever it goes and do not stop until it stops. Within about an hour and a half of being there, the security force told me directly it was time to go. You have to leave the area. And they basically then pushed the few reporters who found them first back toward a gate on the U.S. side. There was a particular concern on leaks. If in fact they started giving out more information about what was going on, particularly on the record, it could get ahead of China. It could get ahead of President Trump and anything he wants to announce. I'm just going to go off what Secretary Bessent told reporters after the last day of meetings. There were a little bit of disagreements here or there, but from what he said, I think the conversations were overall pretty cordial.
I can tell you that the talks were productive.
It's important to understand how quickly we were able to come to agreement, which reflects that perhaps the differences were not so large as maybe thought.
President Trump has this tactic of trying to isolate China and trying to push off some of their trading partners to work exclusively with the United States.
We have many deals coming down the line, and ultimately we're just signing the rest of them in.
I think there has to be, for China to really get something beyond that, is going to basically have to find a way to get the United States to back off from pulling trade partners away from China and to keep them exclusively with the United States, because that's just as damaging for China as it would be they have these types of tariffs on them.
双方一致同意建立中美经贸磋商机制。
I think President Trump truly does want to come off with the win of some sort of new trade deal between China and the United States. If he gets a trade deal, particularly if one would be as big as like China reestablishing business with the United States in some capacity and getting them to bend the knee in Trump's mind, that would be a really, really big deal for the president in his opinion. I think President Trump realizes that this is a political landmine, potentially, for him. And that's why he's trying to quickly get some big wins with trade deals, quote-unquote trade deals with other countries, because not only does he have to show voters that he's trying to get this figured out, but he also has to show the stock market that this is going in a different direction other than a full-bore trade war. And of course, despite the fact that he's wanted a full-bore trade war for months and maybe for years. And so I think that is something that he's trying to work with his team and recognize that, unfortunate for him, harsh reality of what he's doing.